It relied entirely on stealth to get behind enemy lines and strike without being seen, striking 1,600 high-value targets without losing a single aircraft. This simple act may well have revealed the stealthy aircraft to radar below. Its exterior was molded by precise mathematical equations, every facet designed to disperse and absorb the electromagnetic energy surrounding the skies around them. But this paper, unbeknownst to the Soviets, who allowed it to be published internationally, held the key to the technology that would allow aircraft to become the top predator once again. With stealth a priority, the F-117 could not have external hardpoints. These were the only weapons on board. The plane would be completely defenseless to aerial threats and would thus rely completely on stealth. Here, things get particularly unique to the F-117. Radar bouncing around inside an engine inlet is like a person shouting into a massive cave. The engine inlet would need to take the same facet angles as the rest of the plane, and so the engine inlet was covered with a radar reflecting grid. Some wavelengths will still get through, but the inside of the inlet was also lined with radar absorbing material, or RAM, which covered the entire surface of the aircraft. The engineers wanted to minimize the heat signature of the plane as well as the radar signature. To do this, they needed to cool the exhaust and distribute it over a wider area so it could mix with ambient temperature air quicker. This shape spreads the heat from the exhaust over a larger area, allowing it to mix with ambient air and cool down faster. This extreme sweep angle was being driven by its stealth requirements, determined by the Echo 1 program, and this came with troublesome consequences. This resulted in low lift-to-drag ratios and caused issues with aerodynamic flutter, where the wing would vibrate and damage itself. Designing a plane around these flat, faceted sheets was a huge challenge, not just in lift, but in stability too. While still an extremely high wing sweep for a subsonic plane, this 5-degree decrease helped increase the lift of the wing and reduce the pitch instabilities the Half Blue demonstrator experienced. With the extremely poor lift-to-drag ratio of the F-117, its maximum takeoff weight was limited. To reach enemy territory, the plane needed frequent aerial refueling. The F-117 was a moment of inspired brilliance that the United States Air Force ultimately knew would have a limited shelf life. They kept it under wraps for as long as possible to maintain its advantage, but once its adversaries knew of its existence, counter-strategies began to be developed. These planes operated over heavily contested airspace with impunity. On the first night of their deployment, they struck 26 high-value targets, many of which included the country's surface-to-air missile defense systems.